Hi, welcome back to Not Your Mother's Hobbies. Today we have something very special, not Hero Quest related. We picked up Grombrindal. I think that's how you say that. The White Dwarf, the legendary White Dwarf. Picked this up for the 500th anniversary of White Dwarf magazine, 500th issue anniversary. So let's do a little mini unboxing here for you guys and check out what we have in store. We're going to do a little painting, a little building. Off screen, but still. So we have a little build guide here, and all on one sprue. And you can see there that we have a sculpted base, fully sculpted. So that'll be cool. We won't have to do any real big extras or texture paint or whatever, though you totally could. So I'm going to cut these out and put this guy together and give him a zenithal just with the rattle can. Kind of show you that anybody could do this. So here we have him all primed up, all spray primed. That zenithal on there. Got our light source from the top. He's the most brightest up there. Pretty smooth coverage with a rattle can, you can see there. So now you know you have no excuse to do zenithal if you really want to. We're going to start off with the decorative base. And we're going to use a mix of Basilicanum Gray and Pterodon Turquoise, or any kind of greeny blue or gray speed paint you got going on. And we're just going to slap this all over the bottom and make an interesting color mix all over the place on all the stone. We're just going to go all over the rocks and whatnot, apply it wet on wet. Don't worry about letting it dry, and just mix it all around to get an interesting rock look. Right, an interesting rock color. It's going to look more natural with all these different kind of colors going on, right? So you see some videos online, people do iron rock and stuff, and it's gray and browns and reds and stuff, and you can definitely do that with these rocks. I just chose this green. I thought it was more fantasy, more in line with the box art. But yeah, so just do that wet on wet, go all around, make it interesting. Then take Longbeard Gray or any cool gray. We're going to dry brush that over top of all those rocks and pick out all those high details. And that's it for these rocks. These rocks are done. You're done ski. Just make sure you go all up in there, getting all those crevices. I know it's hard. You might want to do sub-assembly. Screw sub-assembly. That's what I say. Whatever you don't see, you don't paint. That's why a good coverage of black paint is good. Go in there with a black paint and a brush and paint all the backs of stuff. You got it. And then you can see here, I am cleaning up. I have a lot of cleanup that you're not going to see, but I'm telling you, I'm cleaning up all over the place on this one. You don't got to worry about being too clean. Clean it up. Don't worry. Blood Angels Red. We're going to pick out some red details based on the box art. This whole guy is going to be based on the box art, but my take on it. So going all around, picking out all the red stuff that we see for this decorative base for the box art. Like that Chaos helmet and this Ghoulie Orc shield. We have another shield, this Chaos shield. We're going to use Black Templar on. Just go all around. Try not to hit those decorations, the ornate, I don't know what is that a corn symbol? I don't know what kind of symbol it is. Chaos symbol, whatever. The six-pointed star, whatever the hell. But just go all around and hit all those spots with Black Templar. We also have I think this is an orcish helmet or shield or something. Orc piece of garbage. We're gonna hit this with Black Templar as well, and some of these decorations on that Ghoulie shield. I don't even know how they make that Ghoulie shield. Is it a skin? I don't know the lore. Bold Titanium White. We're gonna dry brush all around those things we just did. The shield, the helmet. The Orc helm and that Chaos shield. We're going to go around and pick some of those out and just dry brush some detail back in there. Then we're coming in with Garragax Sewer. We're going to do all the weapons here. A little bit different than the box art. We're going to make them easy mode for many people. We're going to make them old and rusty and beat up and worn. So anything that is going to be like true metal, we're going to cover with Garragax Sewer. So that's a lot of stuff that's super easy mode for you guys. Super easy mode for me too. And just cover it all up with that Garragax Sewer. It's going to look rusty. It's going to look tarnished. It's going to look gross. Coming in here with Rise of Rust, we're going to pay respect to the legend Kenny Boucher, Mr. Next Level Painting himself. We're going to make ourselves some gangster gumbo. Alright, we're going to take a blob of Rise of Rust, we're going to mash it up with some water to make a slurry, and we're going to use that as rust. We're going to put it all up there in all the crevices. It's going to be wet, it's going to be wild, it's going to be 18 plus. We're going to get in there with that rust all over the place, putting it all over the metallic parts you just did with the Garagak sewer. And you can see if it's a little too even, come in with a little spongy. Sponge it up, brush it up, mix it up, make it messy. This is rust. It's going to be gross. When it dries, it's not going to be as bright. So if you're worried about that, just play around and test. We got Skeleton Horde here. We're going to use that for all the bony bits. There's quite a few little bony bits all over the place. We're going to hit them up with that Skeleton Horde, make them extra bony. We're going to come back with Retributor Armor. And you're just going to go right on top of the rust, right on top of the Garagak sewer on that rusty brown. You're going to go right on top and paint in scraggly. You don't have to do 100%. We're doing dirty. So scraggly all over the place. Paint in some gold. Pick out parts that you want to be gold. Pop them in there. Do them up. Make them dirty. Gunmetal, the exact same thing. Anything you want to be metallic, you're just going to scratch in there. It's all rusty. It's all well worn. It's filthy. It's grimy. It's a filthy, dirty base. Just go around and pop in those details where you want them. Scratch them. Scrape them. Dot them. Stipple them. Do what you want. Make it messy. Then we come in with Agrak's Earthshade. And you don't have to go all around. You don't have to touch everything. Don't worry about it. Put it on the places that you want to put it. Anywhere you think needs more contrast, put it in there. If you think it got a little too bright, put it in there. If you want to make it oily, dirty, filthy, put it in there. Up to you. Experiment. This is a great opportunity to experiment. We got Wraithbone. We're coming in with Wraithbone for those bony bits that you skeleton hoarded up. We're going to use Wraithbone to just brighten them up, shine them up, make them stand out. These are the highlights. We got Drakenhof Nightshade. This is a blue shade, so pick up a blue shade. We're going to use it as a glaze. Don't put it on super dense, super wet. We just want to have it glazing over those bright white dry brush parts that we did on our blacks. You just want to add a hint of blue. All right? Caribird Crimson, same thing. We don't want to go crazy with it. You don't need to recess wash this. We're just using it to tint down some of that white that we put on top. Chrome, come in here and pick out some highlights. Some parts that didn't get degraded. Some parts that you want to make pop out, stand out. And just dot it in there. Dot it in there. It's going to look like it's scratches from war, from battle, from age, from the elements. Just dot in some of this shiny chrome. Then we got Fenrisian Gray. In case that Drakenhof Nightshade didn't get it blue enough for you, you lost some of your highlights, bring them back with this. Just dry brush in real dirty. With the decorative base done, we're moving on to Grombrindal. So we got Blood Angel's Red here for his big red cape. And just do that like you would any other cape. We've done capes before. We've done cloaks before. Put that Blood Angel's Red all over that cape. Frostheart here for his little blue jerkin. He's got a blue tunic or something underneath. Got some clothes. We're making him blue. Frostheart's your man. Just put it all around his sleeves. I think he's got one of his pecs underneath his beard, you can see. And he's got some trim around his armor. So just take your time, go in there. That base is already done. And he's on top. We avoid it. Be sneaky, be snaky. Skeleton Horde here. We're going to use that for his cloak, the fur on his cloak. Just go all around. You can do one coat, you can do two coats, you can do three coats, and add some texture in there. Up to you. I think I did 2 coats. Snakebite leather here. We're going all around. His glovies. He's got a belt. I'm not worrying about separating some of the gold details or the parts that I know are going to be gold in there. He's got some rings, a bracelet. There's some buckles and stuff. I'm not really separating it because it's a red tone. We're going to put gold on it. It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. So all those parts you're going to do with that brown. Volupus Pink, love me a Volupus Pink for a weapon handle, and we're doing just the same. Black Templar for those booties. Get in there, best you can. It's going to be hard. If you mess up and put black on the rock, get some water, thin it out. Guess what? It's shadow now. Hot tip, it's shadow. And we're going to avoid, when we put it on, that little trim up top. We're doing a different color later. Basilicanum Gray for all of our silver steels, which is mainly his axe and his armor. So that's the big chainmail, or scale mail rather, pieces. He got chunks all over the place. He's got some shoulder pads here, and his big old axe. Guilliman Flesh for the rest of our gold blocking. Anything you didn't hit with that snakebite leather before, we are hitting now with this Guilliman Flesh. Just go all around. That's the trim on his weapons, some of his little items and buckles, and he got a compass and some little weights and stuff. Maybe they're flasks, who knows. He's got all kinds of decorations all over. Hit him up with that Guilliman Flesh. And don't forget his flesh. He's got a tiny little face in there. You can use a smaller brush than me. It'll probably make it easier, but up to you. Just go in there and get his face all done up. Remember, if you make mistakes, go back in with that Wraithbone with a white, whatever. Get her done. Fix it up. Paint over it. Paint is paint. Just paint over. Wildwood, we're using that for his little boot trim, just to be a different color. If you can, thin it down and glaze it. Make it stand out a bit more. Lastly, we've got Apothecary White for all of his hair. We're going to start our layering. Business as usual, gunmetal on that Basilicanum base. Just go all around and put it in there best as you can on that axe, on his armor, the scale mail, the shoulder pads. Go all around and hit up all of those metallic steel parts. He's also got these little booty fronts. Don't forget about them booty fronts. And when that's all done, we're going to go back with our Nuln Oil gloss, or your dark shade with a gloss coat on top, or your dark shade with gloss mix. However you want to do it, because this paint doesn't exist anymore. Go around and dark shade gloss up all of the steel parts you just did. That's going to help blend everything in together. We're going to use Retributor Armor, start doing our gold next. So just like before, we go all over the top. He's got these beard clasps. He's got the decorations on his war axe. He's got those little things on his belt, the buckles, the big old dwarven belt buckle up there, all kinds of things. His little bracelet. He's got some rings. Go around, spot those gold parts, and make them gold. Just like before, when that's all done, we come in with our Reichland Flesh Shade Gloss, or your Flesh Shade and your Gloss Coat, or your Flesh Shade Gloss Mix, what have you. We go over with all that and make it shiny and blended. Kislev Flesh here for his face. I got lucky, and I didn't have to do any extra, so Kislev Flesh was the only one I did. If you got a little darker, do a coat of Cadian Flesh first. We're going to continue that flesh highlighting with our highest, palest, fleshy highlight, Pallid Witch Flesh. Just go in there and spot the details. And then we're going to do his clothing. We've got blue 1 here that I'm going to use. This is from War Colors. So any kind of bright blue, come in there and do his trim. Get all those high folds. On the trim, I started doing a speckly, stippled highlight. I thought that added some nice texture to it. Also made it easier for me to do, rather than doing straight lines. Easier to cover up mistakes. We got Bull Titanium White, which you guys know I like to use on red capes. We're going to use it sparingly here. Get heavy on the tip edges. Very, very, very edge. We're going to go heavier. And then very light, just bring it up. We're also going to use this to touch up some of the hair and put some texture onto the fur. Enough with the dry brush, and we're going to come in with our brush proper, and we're going to add some highlights to the beard. Now I'm dotting in some highlights first, just willy-nilly here and there, and then later I start to do an overbrush by just scraping the side of my brush with not too much paint, not too little paint, more than a dry brush, and I'm coming around scraping the side of it along the details, trying not to get too much in the crevices. But we've done those anime highlights before where we don't really mind if it gets in the crevices if it's our highest point. So don't stress too much and do what you gotta do. Agrax Earthshade here to add a little more texture, a little more shadow in the bottom area, in any of the recesses of that fur that got washed out or blotted out by the dry brush. Just go in there and give a couple coats of that. Chrome, coming around chrome. You know I love that chrome. We're hitting up all the brightest, shiniest points of our metallics, and we're also making sure on those gemmies to fill in the gem with that chrome as well. We're going to cover up that gem with the chrome. So go all around. Don't forget the studs. He's got some studs on his gloves. Get in there with your tiniest brush. Try to do those studs or not. It's up to you if you feel comfortable about it. But hey, why not give it a shot? Now that those gemmies are base coated, Blood Angels Red on top. That silver undercoat is going to make them shine. It's going to shine through the contrast or speed paint you got. It's just going to add a little bit of extra sheen. Abaddon Black on top. We're going to use this in the upper third of the gem. It's going to be our dark point. It's going to make it look like the light is refracting through it. It's going to be a pretty cool effect. And then we're going to use Bold Titanium White to add a highlight on the top and on the bottom. 2 little dots on all those gems. One in the black and one in the bottom in the red. And when that's done, I'm going to take some Gulliman Flesh and I'm going to red up his nose. Because I like my dwarves, they drink a lot of ale. I like to give them a bit of a red nose. Finish this bad boy up with a black rim. Ain't no rim better than a black rim. Love me a black rim on almost every miniature I do. And lastly, we're going to put in some foliage. So take any foliage you got, any little clump grass or whatever, add some glue, tweeze them in there, push them in there, put them in the little cracks, fill up the holes, add some details around the base. And there you have it, Grombrindal himself, the legendary White Dwarf, finished up in my version, my interpretation, my way of doing the box art. I think it came out pretty good. Let's check out the front and the back here. Really liking that base. I really like the look of those rusted up, beat up weapons. He's on top of a victorious battlefield. He beat the crap out of everybody. Or maybe he's come back to the site of an old battle and maybe they lost and he's here leading the charge. Something like that. But I think adding the rusty weapons not only makes it beginner friendly, but also adds a little bit of story to this guy as well. You can see underneath, not a spot is missed. You can hit all the areas that need to be hit with a non-subassembly, completely built miniature. You don't have to worry about it, especially if you put black in all the shadows, because then it don't matter. But here we have a side-by-side, my Grombrindal and GW's one. I think I did pretty good. I think you guys could do that one as well. Let me know how you think in the comments down below. If you think I did pretty good, if you're going to tackle this guy, if you got him yourself. As well as let me know if you've been painting anything not Hero Quest as well. As always, thank you guys for supporting. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, all that stuff. If you want to support in another way, we do have a Patreon. I want to give a special shout out to my current supporters. It's because of you guys I could even get this mini. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!